to Rainy Tuesdays, a podcast by friends for friends. I'm Ryan, and I'm here with Adam
Hello.
and Margot.
Hi.
How you guys doing?
Pretty
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Good.
Pretty good. Done with school forever.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, you guys are all
Same here.
graduated. Woo! Pretty exciting.
Adam,
I
do you think
feel-
you would ever go back?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like
thought
school.
about it too,
so-
but not anytime soon.
What would you guys
Yeah.
go back for? Like, what would you be interested in?
Either a PhD for
Mhm.
me, or many people in my life seem to think that I would be a good teacher. So going back and getting a teaching degree.
That's fair. Yeah. I could see it.
Basically the same as Adam. I'd want to get my doctorate if there's like a field I really like, or
Hell
just go
yeah.
back and teach later on.
Love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. I've thought about it a lot just to have an excuse to like read a ton more philosophy. Because it's just fun. It's a good time. And I like that like built-in nature of liberal arts education where you just get to talk with each other about the thing you just read. It's just a book club, but structured as a class. It's a good time, yeah. Well, speaking of philosophy, there's a thing called the social contract theory. Guys, this is a good transition. And I feel like I just ruined it by saying that in the middle of it. But social contract theory, to like say it like as it is people live together in society in accordance with an agreement that establishes moral and political rules of behavior, and it's not something that's like written down. Like the Constitution is not a social contract theory, but like the fact that we don't cough on each other's faces is, like
Sure.
it's this
Just like implicit rules of conduct of
Yeah.
politeness and
Mhm.
mutuality and stuff like that.
Yeah. And it's like something that you talk about a lot also with like creator and consumer too, of like Coca-Cola doesn't have like um dead mice in its cans, because that's icky and you don't want that.
Okay, very true.
Right? Like when I'm buying a can of Coca-Cola or like a bottle of it, right? I'm expecting to just get Coca-Cola. Like that's the only thing that should be in this bottle because that is what I'm paying for, right?
Sure.
It's that same type of vibe. Yeah. And so in the news lately, yeah, there's been a couple of like things that have made me think a lot about social contract theory. In the sense of like, I feel like that's not really what people thought was gonna happen. I think that's not really what like creator and consumer had like low key agreed upon. The first of which is Overwatch.
Oh
Take it
my
away,
goodness.
Ryan.
Okay. So, as a background for people that do not know,
Mhm.
Overwatch 2, the sequel to Overwatch 1, very successful. They sort of stopped developing the game end of 2019 because they announced they're making Overwatch 2. Now, Overwatch is a multiplayer game, and Overwatch 2, they're like, hey, people really like the story, really like the characters. We're going to delve more into that. We're going to have like a PvE mode, which is like a single player game mode where it focuses on story, different missions, and people sort of have to like fight off different robots, and it'll be a fun game. And in 2019, they already showed like they had some gameplay for it. They had like special abilities for heroes and all this stuff, and it looked great. And basically, COVID happened. We didn't hear about Overwatch 2 for a while. Overwatch 1 did not get developed at all during that time. And then, boom, in October, they dropped Overwatch 2 and didn't have single player mode. And everyone's like, where's that at? And they've been like, oh, we're working on it. And then last week, they were like, hey, just kidding, we're not doing PvE anymore.
Yeah.
Which was the entire reason for a sequel game.
Wild. So, like, just to clarify a couple of points, as I am not too much of a gamer girl, I just want to make sure I've got it all like figured out. Like Overwatch 1, it's like this multiplayer thing where everyone gets on together and it's kind of like uh best team wins, like whoever like,
Yeah, and people
stays
get to
on the longest
choose
type of thing.
different heroes. Yeah,
Right.
Mm.
And like people were like, "Oh, we really love all of these heroes. They seem like fun people." And the creators were like, "They are fun people. Wouldn't you like to like learn more about their backstory?" And everyone was like, "Yeah." Uh like let's buy a second game, right? Is it free or is it bought?
so if you own the first game, the second game is free. But if you
Okay.
didn't have the game and you'd have to buy it.
Okay. But you'd buy it with the like conception of this will not only have like the first game perks of like this game we know and love, but also this new style of game where we learn it's much more story based,
Yeah,
right?
But
Yeah.
and like not the exact same game as
Right.
Overwatch 1
Yeah.
because it's all the same characters and all the same abilities and the same
Mhm.
gameplay. Well,
they've
For the
added
one
multiplayer is
player.
like
new characters, new
slightly different,
maps, but yeah, it's the
Uh-huh.
same.
but very little.
Yeah.
Nothing they wouldn't have added over the course of Overwatch 1 as they had been doing in the past.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, and so they just kinda, like, pulled the rug out from under their consumers' feet and was like, "Haha, just kidding. It's the same game and we're not doing anything else."
This makes me so upset for multiple reasons. One,
Yeah,
so Zelda is out right now. Perfect
yeah.
game. Tears of the Kingdom, amazing. 10 out of 10. Absolutely perfect. Zelda announced in 2019 with a little trailer, hey, we're working on this new game. It's gonna take a little bit, but we're working on it. You know who else announced a game? Overwatch 2, 2019, around the same time. And in the 3 or 4 years since then, Zelda made perfect game, game of the year. Like nothing comes close to it. And
Sure.
Overwatch 2 made worse Overwatch 1.
Yeah, because
That's
also, like,
yeah.
throwback to some of your range on your parades, right? Like, it wasn't it, like, also super glitchy and stuff?
Yeah,
Like
Overwatch 2 is just a worse Overwatch 1. They changed it
mhm,
from 6 versus 6 to 5 versus 5, and
mhm.
it just does not work as well because they didn't change the maps at all and they didn't really change the heroes.
Right.
So you had these heroes designed for these bigger games, and now you've
Yeah.
shortened it, and that's really changed things. So a lot of
Yeah.
the heroes don't really work as well together.
Mhm.
They also changed monetization, where before it was like loot boxes, and that was controversial. Where like if you played certain games, you get like a random box that would have like random stuff in it. Some of it was good, some of it was bad,
Okay,
but
yeah.
it was technically free. If you just played long enough, you would get that, or if you
Yeah.
want, you could buy and get like tons of them.
Okay.
Now that doesn't exist anymore, and maybe that's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing. But now you just have to
Mhm.
pay for everything with your own money if you want stuff. So there's
Right.
less reward in that aspect, and
Mhm.
also they took out a ton of features for no reason. Like there used to be a mode in Overwatch 1 where like if you were doing really well, it'd be called like on fire. And like it
Okay.
would reinforce the player that like you're doing really well. Like you get like a little symbol by your avatar
Yeah.
and like a little voice line would play. And it's like, okay,
Uh-huh.
you know that you're doing well. And they took
Right.
that away. They took away the symbol. The voice line still
That's
plays.
weird.
So the system is
Oh.
still technically in the game. They
But it's,
just
like,
don't
easy to
show it.
miss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Huh.
it's very interesting. It's just a worse
They
game,
don't want
and
positive reinforcement for people playing their game.
yeah.
Yeah.
And to go back to the social contract, like
Yeah.
Overwatch 1, you can't play that anymore. Like if you bought a disc for that, you can't play that
Right.
game because it doesn't
That's
exist.
wild to me. Yeah.
And going back to the timeline thing, like they spent 3 years working on this PvE to ultimately scrap it
Mhm.
and just made Overwatch 1 again. And so
Yeah.
they just took a pause, and it's like, well, why'd you make Overwatch 2 then if you just are going to keep doing Overwatch 1?
Right. I don't know, it sort of just feels like you like, at that point, don't care about the people who make your game a game, like, the people who are playing it enough to make it worth anyone getting at all.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's very interesting to me because it's just like, well, like you had so many people getting this game or like starting to play this game again because they were excited about this brand new feature.
Yeah.
And instead of it's just like, just kidding, we don't care at all. Like, I don't know. It's interesting. Um, do you know like what general like response has been to that announcement?
I know, I mean, a lot of people have been upset, and so they
Hmm.
announced they're gonna bring that mode back in some capacity, but it's not gonna
Okay.
have like the hero trees. It's not gonna have the hero missions. It's just gonna
Uh-huh.
be some of the story missions, and they're gonna like sprinkle it out over the seasons, which
Interesting.
maybe is good, maybe is bad. Because like, okay, I guess we'll still get them in some form, but it's also like
Right.
gonna be spread out and not all in just like one time of like, hey, here's all the stuff you were promised.
Yeah.
and not this like substantive single player mode that they promised and sold
Mhm.
people on for why there was going to be a second game at all.
Exactly.
Right. I don't know. I think it's kind of messed up.
Mhm. And it's
Overwatch.
so frustrating because, like, in 2019, when they announced it, they had gameplay available. So it's like, in some
Right.
capacity, it had been worked on, and they had
Yeah.
enough that they could at least show.
Like this
Mhm.
wasn't just like a farce from the beginning. Like it's something that they just clearly like abandoned.
Because
Yeah.
sometimes there's like projects like, I don't know if you ever saw there was like a Star Wars Eclipse game
Mhm.
that I'm
That
pretty sure is canceled
sounds
now,
familiar.
but
Yeah.
there's a trailer for it online, and it looks really good. But all they
Right.
had for that game was the trailer. They had no gameplay. They hadn't
Mhm.
even started working on the game. All they put
Yeah.
together was a trailer. But
Mhm.
this wasn't the case. Like they had gameplay to go off of and were showing specific things.
Yeah. I think that's so interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't know. I like it just makes me kind of like wonder, you know, like why that decision was made. Like was it really not doable in some capacity? And if not, like why announce it years earlier? Like what changed, I guess?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think it was a money thing.
Sure. It always is.
They had
Yeah,
to pay out all that money in lawsuits.
basically,
That's
yeah,
right.
because Blizzard has a
Yeah.
lot of lawsuits.
Yeah.
It's really
Riot
funny.
Games just got a big lawsuit against them for sexual harassment as well. So
See?
great gaming world, all your big names are doing pretty bad.
Yeah.
I'm
Yikes.
just glad that for every gaming studio that has horrible sexual harassment and workplace, um, just I don't know, all that terrible stuff. Bethesda stands strong of like we're gonna deliver a glitchy mess of a game, but there won't be problems in the background.
But the
Mhm.
people are
The
good
people are
Yeah,
good.
so far.
Yeah, so far. Who
yeah.
knows?
I do always I can't explain it. I'm currently living in Maryland, and so every single time Bethesda gets brought up, I feel like a little like home court you know, like I'm like, yeah, that's the home team.
Yeah.
Like,
I
um,
was gonna say one last thing I'll say about it. The company that
yeah,
owns Overwatch is called Blizzard, and
Mhm.
because Pride Month is coming up, they like release shirts um for it with like the Blizzard logo, but
sure.
it's like the trans flag.
Yeah.
Um, but in pink, the parts that are highlighted are LI and AR, so it just spells liar. It's really funny.
Hmm.
I'll send you
How
guys
did
a
that
photo of
design
it.
get past
Yeah,
Someone
approval?
didn't think too much about the graphic design.
yeah.
Zoinks. Yikes. Why would you not just do a gradient? So, like,
Yeah.
no, like, you couldn't do that. Because that's, like, such a meme.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah,
to, like,
Yeah, come
pull
on.
out things. You'd
That's
think they'd
pretty
be
bad.
more in touch with memes.
exactly.
I don't think Blizzard's in touch with the community at all.
Clearly not. Yeah.
I not a while back, maybe last year, there was this like long write up of each stage of World of Warcraft development and how the game like started out
Yeah.
really strong and was one of the biggest games ever to only like very much crash and burn. Um,
Sure.
and just the amount of like dumb crap that Blizzard would do and put in the game, and people would be like, "This is terrible. You need to stop this," and they just wouldn't listen at all.
Mhm.
I don't think they care that much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they very much are just trying to look for like short-term profits,
Yeah,
and they're
I mean,
also
there was
trying to
that
like,
thing too when they had Diablo something. But it was a mobile game,
yeah,
and they're like, "Don't you guys have phones to play a mobile game on?"
hmm It's
the point.
very
Ugh.
strange too, like because they're still trying to sell the Microsoft that's being like held up in courts right now.
I thought
Right.
it got
Yeah.
approved.
It might have,
Maybe
but
not in America yet.
But it was like
even
a long
still,
thing. Yeah.
yeah,
It might still be procedurally.
even
Yeah.
still, I think Microsoft is like way too much because
Oh,
like
absolutely.
Right.
they're just making bad business decision after bad business decision, and it's affecting their stock, and it's like they'd probably get it for a cheaper price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I think Microsoft's an interesting thing too. I feel like they've made a bunch of big plays to buy up a ton of really big studios
Mhm.
for a lot of money, and then they have not really released any games for the Xbox.
Did you see
Hmm.
And
Redfall?
yeah, and how bad it was.
It's pretty bad. I at
But
least
that seems
like
like they've had like 3 or 4 Xbox exclusives, and they've all been pretty poor launches. Like the Halo game was the same. Of just like, what's happening here? PS5 has like great game after great game, and then Xbox is like, we spent $60 billion to acquire the best studios in the world, and we're not going to use that at all.
they like rushed out that game. But I at least like the head of like Xbox took responsibility. It was like, yeah,
Yeah.
that was our bad. We should have waited longer.
Sure. Yeah.
Which is crazy for Redfall because the studio makes great games.
Yeah. They made the Dishonored games.
Dishonored, Arcane Studios. They make Prey as well, which
Prey's
is
really
really good. I think they did Deathloop too, which was
Yeah.
also great. I don't know. They're like well known for making very good games, and
Yeah.
then they make Redfall, and you're like, what happened here?
Mhm.
This isn't usually how
Something's
you guys
not adding
work.
up.
Yeah.
Fair. I don't know. I think that's really interesting. And like you have the like other side of it where I don't know, in a case like this with Overwatch, like I would say that they did owe it to their like players
Yeah.
to
Yeah, I mean,
create
to
that game.
return to the topic that you introduced, it does seem like they promised us from the beginning. That was the
Yeah.
entire reason for a second game.
Well, but then like even in your example just there of like quality, right? With like different games. Like at some point you keep having like high quality games, like that's what your consumers are going to you for,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And so like you do kind of still owe that to them of like we as a brand have like cultivated this idea, this like social contract that like our games are going to be high quality. So like that's what people are expecting when they purchase a game from us kind of thing. And like yeah, same with Overwatch of like you do owe it to your fans if you're saying like hey guys, it's going to be great, this is exactly what we're doing. Just kidding, bye. Like I don't know.
I even think it's weird because I bought Overwatch 1
Yeah.
when it came out, and I cannot play that game anymore. I can only play
Yeah.
Overwatch 2, which is now, instead of 6 versus 6, is 5 versus 5. And another
Yeah.
thing, too, they completely took out a game mode called 2 capture points,
Okay.
which is like you have to capture the first point, then the second point. But people didn't
Mhm.
like it because it was like sort of unbalanced, but instead of like fixing it, they just completely
They just
removed
got
it
rid of it.
altogether and got rid of like 7 maps. And it's like you completely like now you can't play those maps either or that game mode. I like that game mode personally.
Yeah. I feel like this is like I don't know, it's weird, especially for the people who did like purchase like I mean there's two sides of it, right? Cuz like people like you who've purchased like Overwatch 1, right? Like now all you have to show for that purchase is this like much worse version of the game kind of
Yeah.
thing. And then people who were like intentionally buying Overwatch 2 like have also nothing like what they thought they were going to get with that purchase.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like, oh, what are we doing?
Hey, they're giving away double XP this weekend.
Oh, double XP weekend. Oh my god.
When I played Fallout 76, I felt like every weekend was double XP weekend.
Yeah.
I don't know, I was never paying attention to promotions, but it just felt like it was always happening.
Trying to get people to come back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I do very much recommend Fallout 76. It's a great game.
I will
Now,
get to
Yeah.
it eventually.
maybe it wasn't
um,
when it launched, but it definitely is now.
love it. Um, that's all we can hope for with Overwatch 2, at least, is that eventually it'll be
Although
worth
that's
like.
another. I feel like a lot of games are like that now, where it's like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, it's bad now, but in like
Give it
4
some
years
time.
we'll fix it and it'll be good. And it's like just release a good game at the start then.
I think
Yeah,
that's
like
my problem is like you've been working on it for at least 4 years because you
Yeah,
stopped working on the other game entirely. What were you doing? Like
yeah. I mean,
nothing.
they
what
are
happened?
releasing Diablo 4, so
They are, yeah.
maybe they had
Maybe
their
there's
like
some
main
overlap.
team was working on that, and they just had like a smaller team working on Overwatch 2.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I don't know.
I don't
But what is
know.
a big company? Seems like you could have done both.
Yeah.
Could have had at least 2 people working on it.
And Diablo 4 is not the most complicated game because it's top down.
Mhm.
Not to
Uh,
diminish the work that goes into them, but
you heard it here first. Adam hates the people who worked on it. He thinks
I don't
they're
know.
bad.
It's funny to me the Diablo 4 trailers because it'll be like grand cinematics of how crazy cool it looks, and then you just show gameplay and you're like, that's not at
That's
all.
really lame.
That's nothing.
I feel like that's like every mobile game ever. Like they'll
Yeah,
have like a really fun looking trailer sort of thing, and then it's like Candy Crush.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or like, what's the meme ones that put like
That
tons of money into advertising of like
that like
very
old lady and like her granddaughter kind of thing.
um
Um
I don't know. I was thinking of
it's like a
one. They
murder
have like
mystery sort
these.
of thing.
Oh, it's some like fantasy,
Oh,
not a
okay.
fighting game. I don't know. They have like these orc characters that they put a ton of money into very expensive cinematics for.
Yeah.
Um,
Fair enough.
and they advertise a bunch with YouTubers. I don't know what the title is. So clearly it hasn't worked. Keep paying those YouTubers money.
Oh man. Wait, is it Raid?
Oh, I think it is.
I was trying to think of like podcasts, like gaming commercials. I was like
Yeah.
Shadow
Raid
Legends.
Shadow Legends.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh man. It's working on me, even though I will never play the game. But all right, the other like social contract theory breach that I've seen lately is Taylor Swift. Oh no. To catch you guys up, because I don't know how much you know about Taylor Swift's life. I want to be clear, none of us are Swifties to my knowledge. Like unless you guys are hiding something from me. Um, yeah, none of us particularly listen to her music. Not that it's
I like
bad
her
or
country
anything.
albums.
Sure, yeah, that's like I think where I could name most of her songs from. Is like her first few albums. But yeah, it's just not particularly my style. I have nothing against her music. I'm anticipating if I put Taylor Swift anywhere in the title that people are going to like click on this if they like her. And I want to be clear, it's not that we hate her.
No, she's good.
She's fine.
Good
Yeah,
musician.
yeah. Good
Just
lyrics.
not a particularly fanatic about her, I guess.
Yeah, just don't know that much,
Yeah.
or typically care that much. I'm just interested in this new phenomenon because, like, people have been obsessed about her dating life since the beginning of her career because it's like a misogynistic thing where it's like a woman dating multiple men. How dare she? And it's just what it is. Um,
I saw
uh,
an article the other day of all the people she dated, and I was like, wow, I forgot.
yeah, it's
Did you
like, and
know
I
she
mean,
dated
like,
Taylor Lautner?
yeah, yeah, because it
Taylor
was
Square.
Taylor and Taylor, yeah, but, like, the thing about it is, like, I mean, she was, like, in her, like, early 20s kinda thing, which I think is a time where a lot of people, like, date around trying to figure out what they like, and it was just, like, publicized because she was a public figure kinda thing, and people really made it out to be like, "Oh my god," but she was with these people for, like, um
There's also dating a lot of public figures too.
yeah, exactly. So it was this very, very like um focused on aspect of her life. But anyway, so recently this guy that she's been with, don't know his name, I'm so sorry.
One she broke up with, or
Yeah, like the most recent guy.
I'll look it up.
Okay,
Did you date Harry Styles?
yeah, they did a manslaughter. That's
They did a
I'm so sorry.
manslaughter?
It's a conspiracy theory. It's not true.
Oh, okay. I
Allegedly.
was like,
Oh, I remember.
you're just gonna drop that they've been involved in death.
Uh, it was the
Like,
whole like nobody no crime song.
oh,
But it's very
I
funny.
will say,
Swifties are amusing to me.
Swifties are big conspiracy theorists
Yeah.
about many things.
Wait, oh my god. Did you guys hear this? I swear we'll get to the point of this eventually. But first, did you guys see that thing where there was like this autobiography coming out later this year? And it's by an unnamed celebrity. Like it hasn't been said who the celebrity it is yet, which is a weird marketing tactic. But like Swifties went hard and they looked at how many pages were in the book, like exactly when it was coming out, and they like made all these sort of like red yarn connections to like swear that it was Taylor Swift until the like publishing company for the book had to be like, guys, I'm sorry, it's like literally not her. And so like people had been pre-ordering this book like crazy and then canceled all of their pre-orders because it wasn't Taylor Swift. And I don't know who the celebrity is yet because no one does, but I just feel so bad for them. Like, so many people were
Just
excited about a Taylor Swift autobiography, and then this celebrity is like, well, it's
Former
just
Secretary of
me.
State Henry
Yeah, right.
Kissinger. New autobiography.
God, I hate Kissinger. I also just don't like international relations, but like I just associate him with it.
Mhm.
I don't like him. But yeah. Wait, did you find the name?
Joe Alwyn. He was an actor, but they had a
Joe
relationship since
Alwyn.
2017, and it was
Yeah,
going pretty strong. She wrote a lot of love songs about him,
yeah,
and the breakup was amicable.
right. So like it was this whole big thing. People were like, "Oh my god!" Like a lot of Swifty memes were like, "Dad's gone," kind of thing, and like this guy that had been like a constant in the Taylor Swift cinematic universe was now gone. And so it's like left this void of like, I don't know, until she starts showing up in paparazzi photos with Maddie Healy, who is the lead singer of the 1975, another band I don't know.
feel
Not
like
to
I
say I
do
don't know
know
Taylor
that band
Swift, but
actually.
like, wait, what?
I feel like I do know the 1975.
Wow, apparently they were big on Tumblr. In like 2014 or something. Um,
Okay,
yeah,
never mind. I don't know. Never mind. I looked up their like top 5 songs. I don't recognize them. So
yeah. I don't
moving
know
on.
the bands. Sorry.
Teen Vogue has to say.
Well, so I'll tell you a few things about
Okay.
Mr. Matthew Healy. And I don't know if his name is actually Matthew. He goes by Maddie. I assume it's from Matthew. But anyway. Um, so he um apparently wants to fit this right rock star persona kind of thing, right? And his method of doing so is to let me start with the good so that you have a nice view of him before I ruin it.
Okay.
He's very pro-choice, like a huge advocate for it. He thinks
Okay.
that women should have the right to choose what they do with their own bodies. I think that's great. 10 out of 10, sir. Um,
Like this is
he
one of the things we know about him.
he has spoken like in depth with like Muslim fans about what he can and cannot put on like a hijab for merch. Like, can you do patterns? Can you do words kind of thing to make sure that he's being respectful of their culture? I love that. I think that's really nice. Um, but that's the only two good things I've ever heard about him because everything else is awful.
Okay.
On stage, he several times has like marched and done the Nazi salute. and
Okay, starting off strong.
Yeah.
kind of rough on a podcast a couple of months ago. He was making fun of like Ice Spice and also Asian accents and vernacular, and like basically anyone that like um didn't speak like perfect English kind of thing. He was really, really like going hard on them and really disrespectful, especially towards Asian accents. Kind of fucked up.
Got it. 2023, wild. Wild
Yeah,
that you would do that.
literally like recently, like a couple of months ago. Also, in another interview a few months ago, very recently, he said that, and this is major trigger warning, I'm so sorry. Um, like that his favorite porn to watch was black women being beaten up.
Oh my.
Yeah, kind of
Hmm.
rough.
Also a
Um,
weird thing to share too.
yeah, like, kinda gross, and he was, like, telling stories about people walking in on him watching this and everything like that. Um, so gross, right? I don't know about you guys, but just because he's pro-choice, I don't think that excuses any of the other stuff. I would still feel uncomfortable in a room with him.
Yeah, that's not great. Not great.
Yeah. Um, so super shitty guy, and, like, publicly so, proudly so. Um, and so like Taylor Swift now dating him, supposedly, and or at least just holding hands in public with him. We don't know that they're dating. They might just like holding each other's hands. Either way, has caused a rift for the Swifties.
Oh no.
Yeah. And so like I think there's a couple of aspects to this, and I have so many questions for you guys now that you have all the context, right? Or at least all the context that I know.
Well,
There might
there's
be
a
more, there
lot
might be
more from what
less.
I'm reading from
I
Yeah,
know,
I'm reading
like,
through the
right now.
Wikipedia controversies section.
yeah. So, like, I know he's had a lot of controversies. Those are the big three that I saw, like, repeated. I also know that, like, I think he did also, like, shit talk Taylor Swift on a podcast too. Um, which like interesting, odd. Um, but uh yeah, so like boil down to those points at least. Unless you guys have particular ones that you want to bring up real quick.
No, it seems like you covered the really bad stuff. Most of what I don't know, maybe you're seeing something different, Ryan. But most of what I'm seeing is honestly, those like the recent stuff seems weird given the other stuff I'm reading because it seems
Yeah.
like most of his controversies are
Mhm.
him being liberal and conservatives being
Yeah.
mad about it, which is
Yeah.
happens a lot. So interesting to see, like I don't know,
So I have
angering everybody, I suppose.
yeah. I have a few questions. I want to start with the social contract stuff because that's like the theme of the episode that
Hmm.
I arbitrarily decided.
Hmm.
Um, so first, do you think Taylor Swift owes anything to her fans about like the type of people she consorts with?
Not a one.
No,
Okay, I
you do
agree.
you, Taylor.
I'm gonna be clear. I
Date
agree.
who you want.
Date who you want. I don't give a
I would
fuck. I'm
recommend
also
she
not a
date someone
Swiftie,
that's
to be
not
fair.
famous though.
Yeah, I feel like it would just be better for her and them.
Considering the track record. Maybe
Yeah,
she has and it's just not been reported. Which like maybe that's a good thing.
there you go. The other thing though is do you think she owes it to her fans not to platform this person? Because he has also been opening for her lately or like on stage with her openers.
Oh.
I don't know.
I mean, I think it comes down to how much she knows. I guess like timeline. Like the
Sure.
stuff that you talk about on like the podcast
Mhm.
seems pretty bad.
Yeah.
But
We're
some
talking
of that
like
was really
she's
recent.
yeah,
So
but she's had him on stage like the past couple of weeks.
oh.
So like
Mm,
a couple of months after these podcast appearances.
I don't know. I think it's interesting because there was that happened with John Mulaney as well. That
Sure.
Dave Chappelle would open for him when he was doing his tour.
Yeah.
And obviously Dave Chappelle, transphobic. So there was issues with that. And I
Yeah.
think it's interesting when that happens because I wonder how much of that is them choosing
Right.
versus like this is also a popular person regardless of controversies.
I think that might be two different questions,
Oh,
right?
sure, probably is.
Because like, well, with John Mulaney, I I feel like that could be like a management company kind of thing, pairing the
Mhm.
two off.
Oh, yeah,
Like
yeah, I
that's
guess they
really
both
good.
are doing specials for Netflix,
Um,
so
right. Whereas like Taylor Swift, it was like special guest, he's gonna come on and play guitar during things.
oh,
Like
sure.
a more personal, less like because like I think it was I don't know. I'm again not a good enough
They
Swiftie.
collaborated on Midnights.
There you go. No, but
That
like
probably means something to someone.
it probably does. But like yeah, it's this sort of thing of like a more personal like he's coming on as like a favor to her because they're like at least friends. Um and I think it becomes this sort of thing, right? And like with that John Mulaney example too, I think it's interesting like how much responsibility does John Mulaney have in that situation versus is it like just the management company sort of thing? Because like both John Mulaney and Taylor Swift, correct me if I'm wrong, in recent years at least have cultivated this crowd that is leaning more liberal. It is safer for like women, people of color, and like the gays. Um, you know,
Yeah.
like it's supposed to be supportive environments for like not just straight white men, right?
Mhm.
That's like the energy that I get from both creators at least. Um, and even John Mulaney like references that in his like
Yeah.
newest
Likability is a
special.
prison.
Right. But like he also says like you're either like
He's like
a woman or like a guy who doesn't do sports. Like
yeah, like, ask your children about me, but only if they're your daughter or your son who
yeah,
doesn't play sports, yeah.
exactly. And then like, yeah, Taylor Swift has since her like Miss Americana documentary been very like, I'm gonna be political. I'm going to support like I'm sorry I'm doing this voice for Taylor Swift,
Yeah,
Swifties. I'm sorry. It's the first one that came to mind. Um
a bit of
like-
a mocking tone.
well, it's just because she's not. She's like a classic white feminist and like very, very much not intersectional, but like saying she's gonna be like saying she wants to support like minorities and like any sort of people who doesn't like have the same exact privilege that she has. But she never does. But like it's that's the vibe she puts out though. And Swifties take it way further than she does, where like I think that the fans of Taylor Swift have created a safer environment than Taylor Swift has. But that's a different thing. I guess my point is she's created this environment, same with John Mulaney. And then like people buy tickets to be like, I want to see Taylor Swift or I want to see John Mulaney. And then like suddenly they go to a show and like someone who might not make them feel safe in that way is there. Whether it be like Dave Chappelle and him being like transphobic or Matt Healy and him being super racist and misogynistic and like anti-Semitic and everything like that. Like, I don't know, like when you like pay money to like go into an environment that you think is going to be safe and then you're suddenly not feeling so safe, I feel like that's a breach of social contract. Like, I don't know. What do you guys think? I think it's the platforming that I have issue with, not that she's dating him. I don't really care about that at all. Um, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't breach it. It's just like, hey,
Okay.
here's this extra thing. You can just
Sure.
ignore it if you want, really, because you
Okay.
know like what you're
Yeah.
signing up to get into, and that's what you're going for.
Mhm.
And if it was like their performance that like affected them, then maybe. But otherwise, I don't know. I don't really.
Yeah, I kinda think, like I mean, not great to support people who are terrible people, but
Right.
in the sense of, like, social contract theory, his bad behavior
Mhm.
is not in the concert. Like, what fans who
Sure.
go see Taylor Swift are seeing is not this guy being misogynistic, he's
Yeah.
just being a singer,
Yeah.
versus the John Mulaney thing of, like, if you go see John Mulaney, then Dave Chappelle opens and makes his transphobic jokes, then it's part of the show.
Okay, yeah.
But for Taylor Swift, that's not happening. It's separate, so you might not
Mhm.
even be aware of any of that unless you look into it.
Sure. Okay. I think that's fair. That's a really good point. Yeah.
Kind of like
Um,
the Hogwarts Legacy stuff about people being like,
sure.
um, don't buy this game or you're transphobic because of J.K. Rowling,
Sure.
but they don't have any relation to each other.
Mhm.
And the transphobia is not in the game, so my view is that there's no link or connection there at all.
Sure.
Um, and yeah, same here. Like, it's not part of the show. She's not making this behavior. She's not platforming this behavior specifically, just
Sure.
incidentally by this person. Who, if
Yeah.
you then continue looking at this person,
Right.
there's some bad stuff.
Okay. I think that's fair. Um, yeah. Okay. Different from social contract questions, but just questions about this Maddie Healy situation in general. Because if you, like, as you mentioned, like, seemingly, at least at some point, was a liberal man, right? Like, a lot
Yeah,
of what he got in trouble for was these things. And so, something that also came up about him is like Taylor Swift fans who were wanting to like defend him, right? Because like Taylor can do no wrong in their
Yeah.
eyes. And this is the divide that I'm talking about. Is like half of the Taylor Swift fans were like, this guy's like really messed up. Why is he like now a part of this community kind of thing? And then the other half were like, guys, he's not that bad. And their defense was it's all performance art. He's doing a bit where he's, like, facing a mirror towards conservative people, trying to show them what they look like. It's all just a goof, a little gaffe, and I hate that, but I wanna hear y'all's thoughts on that
I mean,
defense.
we actually don't remember if this is on the podcast or not, but we had a similar discussion about Kanye West,
Yeah,
about his behavior and
mhm,
whether that was real or not,
like
like his real
trolling
thoughts or
or yeah,
feelings. And
He
I
mhm.
watched
don't.
21 Jump Street. He's not anti-Semitic anymore.
Oh my god.
I think it's okay to like the artist. You just don't need to
Mhm.
defend their action.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure. I wanna be very clear. I have no problem with you liking Kanye, right? And, like,
I got no problem with
it's
Kanye. He's great.
yeah,
He's a god.
it's
He can
oh
do
my
no
god.
wrong.
Okay, alright, okay. I, um, I think my problem is, it's similar. Do you guys know Anthony Jeselnik?
Mm-mm.
no,
Okay, he's another stand-up comedian. I don't recommend him, but if you want to watch him to know more context about what I'm talking about, go for it. But he's just like the type of comedian that really punches down. Like he is a straight white man, and so all of his jokes are about anyone who's not a straight white man. Um, and isn't it so funny that these people have to go through like harder things than like
mm,
a straight white man does? And he like really, really goes into that. And he's like, the bit is that I'm an asshole. The bit is that I'm just really mean and I don't care about other people, kind of thing. And it's like, I don't think he's funny.
I think there's like a good way and a bad way to do that. Like if you ever watch
Sure.
Conan,
Yeah.
the bit is
Yeah.
always that
mm-mm,
like he's a jerk, but like
Sure.
not
yeah,
really. Like
Right.
where the joke is always on him at the end. And like that's I
Yes.
think how you
mm-hmm,
play off that well. Like you can be a
Yeah.
jerk, but like the joke should always then fall on you.
Yes, I think that's very fair because the way that Anthony Jeselnik does it is very much just like, women, they're fucking stupid, am I right? And that's like the whole joke. But, um, it's just this whole thing where I think if the only way that you can manage to be funny, and I think that this is another difference between like Conan and Anthony Jeselnik, is like Conan, he doesn't need to be mean to be funny. Like that's not his only type of humor. He's like actually a very intelligent man who like can make a lot of really good jokes that aren't at all related to like being mean to someone. But like Anthony Jeselnik, and in this case, like Maddie Healy, I guess, is like this whole thing where it's like if the only way that you can feel engaging or like funny is to just like shit on other people, I don't think you're that funny. I think you're, like, lazy. I don't think you've come
Yeah.
up with anything, like, creative at all. You're just not good at this. Like, I don't
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my rant. Like, I think it's, like, automatic proof of, like, especially, like, a stand-up comedian that, like, they're just not a good one if that's the only type of
Yeah. If that's
humor
all
they
you
stand
got,
with.
come on.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So, I don't know, it's been interesting to see, my, like, um TikTok has been full of it, of, like, a bunch of different people and their, like, perspective on it. And I do think it's, like, um I think it's interesting to say, like, "Hey, we, like, expected this concert to be, like, full of, like, a welcoming environment kind of thing, and, like, the presence of a person like this on stage might make people who are in the know, like, feel uncomfortable, about, like, "Hey, this isn't, like, the type of person that I wanted to see in concert." Like, I wanted to see someone who, like, lifted these communities instead of, like, punching down kinda thing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know. It's been fascinating.
I've got another breach of social contract
Let's
that
hear it.
we've sort of talked about before, but streaming services that take off stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
god,
was.
let's talk
Disney,
about Disney and
oh my
Hulu.
goodness,
Yeah.
Disney taking off Willow, so
I
sad.
my mom
And
told me
also
that
Wait, did they
last
really
night,
Punchline,
the
and my
show?
first thought
but
was
oh
Ryan.
my goodness.
They took off the show.
Yeah, and it's only been
Yeah.
out for 6
What?
months. They're taking
Yeah.
out next week.
I feel like I'm gonna
Why?
have to,
Like
like, binge it, like
to just it's not going to be
Residuals.
anywhere now.
Yeah,
really? You think that's why?
that's why. That's why they took off Westworld because there's some contracts people have like started writing into like streaming. It's like
Yeah.
anytime it gets streamed, or like for so many streams, they get a percentage back of that,
As they should, by
as
the
they should.
way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's like how TV works. Anytime
Absolutely.
Seinfeld plays, like
Yeah.
Jerry Seinfeld gets like $100.
What's the
Seinfeld is
deal
always
with
on.
residuals?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why like Jerry Seinfeld's a multimillionaire.
Right.
Anyway, so like I don't think that's unreasonable for like
No.
these streaming shows to do, especially since
Absolutely.
it's like based on like so many different views,
Mhm.
and they don't want to pay out that money, so it's cheaper for them
To
to
just get
just
rid of these.
get rid of it. Yeah,
I think that's so messed up, and it's, like, something that I started noticing first with the, HBO Max thing of, like, they started taking off a lot of the stuff that people had, like, originally gone to them for.
yeah.
And that was, like, a year ago even,
Hmm.
they started doing that. And then, yeah, lately it's been, like, a lot of Disney and Hulu. Um, are they
I
merging?
They are at the end of
they
the
are.
year.
Yeah.
They're gonna merge the two, which there's
Okay.
still some details to figure out with that. But they're
Yeah.
hoping that will increase because Disney lost like a ton of people last year.
It hasn't been great.
Yeah, so they're hoping, and that will actually be good because then they
Yeah.
can just add all the Hulu stuff to the Disney library.
Right.
Mhm.
If they keep any of it.
Yeah, and that
Keep
would be
my
interesting.
very nice Spotify Hulu bundle.
I do like that, yeah.
So I don't have to
Uh,
pay $10 a month for just Spotify because I don't think that's worth it.
it's not, yeah, sorry, Spotify.
Sorry,
Um,
Spotify.
yeah.
Just you don't offer enough incentive for me to pay that much money. But with Hulu, absolutely worth it.
Right, yeah, if I get both or that being said, Spotify, business idea, sharks, I think that they should, since they've introduced audiobooks, they should give you, like, at least 1 free audiobook a month because you have to pay extra for the audiobooks on Spotify, and I
Oh,
think if they gave you 1 free a month, I would be like, "Yeah, okay."
like
It's
Audible does that, don't they?
Yeah, yeah.
it's also so weird because a lot of the Disney Plus shows that they're moving is like original stuff they made like within like the
Right.
Yeah.
last 2 years, and it's like you're just crashing all of that. Like,
Wait, give us some of the greatest hits. What
well,
are
none
some
of
of the
them
other
are really
ones?
great, is it?
Well, give us
But
some of the okay
The
hits.
World According to Jeff Goldblum is actually pretty good. It's just Jeff Goldblum
They're
experimenting
getting
with
rid of
stuff.
Jeff Goldblum's?
Yeah. Um, so they're getting rid of Willow and also the making of Willow, how they made it, which is silly.
That's so goofy.
The Mighty Ducks, Big Shot with the guy from Full House, Turner and
Uh-huh.
Hooch with the guy from Josh from Drake and Josh.
Sure.
Um, I don't know. It's just lots of like shows where it's like this was an original
Right.
show and you're just getting rid of it.
Yeah.
And it's like
The Artemis Fowl movie.
yeah, that one wasn't very good, but
No,
I
I
mean,
watched that.
it seems
That
like most
was
of this,
tough.
barring Willow, were not great hits,
Right.
which is probably why they're like, this didn't perform well and it didn't
probably
draw
why
people
all
to
the
us, so we're
articles have
selling
Willow
it.
in the title.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Because that's definitely like the
That's the
biggest
big one.
deal.
Well, also the craziest of that just came out. It
Yes.
just came out.
Like you
Also,
haven't given it enough time.
yeah. Like I was planning on watching that.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll have to in the next week.
Yeah, I guess so.
Or I'll
Or-
sail the high seas.
Yeah, sail the high seas because that's the only way to watch some of these.
Because
Because
it's the only way to watch anything. If I can't
Yeah.
watch it legally
Yeah.
and I want to watch it, Disney,
I-
you're not letting me give you money for this thing.
Right.
Especially since like a lot of these streamers won't do any like physical media. Like you can't
Yeah.
buy like a box set of The Mandalorian.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is wild. Netflix does do physical media for some of its bigger shows. I know I've seen Stranger Things
Yeah.
and some others. So it's weird when they do have a big success that they don't. I would think
Yes.
people would pay for that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's like, I don't know how, otherwise you just have to like rely on the goodwill of these companies to keep these like shows that you enjoy.
Mhm.
And like with something like Willow, where it's an original, like it's not like that can then go on HBO Max. Like it's not
Yeah.
like they just lost the rights to it and then like someone else is gonna buy it up. No,
I think
it's just gone.
some of the originals did get shipped off to other streaming services though. I thought
Yeah.
Westworld went to like Tubi or something.
Tubi is shockingly good.
Yeah,
Can we talk about it?
I've heard.
Huh? You had to like watch things quick because I feel like they only stay for like a month, but like, it is like, whoa, you have that? And like to be fair, it's like 2 good things per like every 100 like shitty horror movie. But like, there's good things on there.
Who
Yeah,
knows? Maybe will be on Tubi next month.
I guess so. Man, weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
I
yeah.
heard Netflix was gonna start doing that too, removing original programming. So it seems like that's how streamers, like you said, for fighting residuals against writers and
Mhm.
actors. It just seems like that's the strategy now.
Which is weird too with like the writer strike going on because a
Yeah.
lot of that is
Yeah.
aimed towards stream.
And
Yeah.
you're gonna like especially need those shows to make any money because like if you're not paying your writers to write anything, like, what new are you gonna get? Just like bad reality shows is all you're
Yeah.
gonna have. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why
Ugh.
there are so many reality shows.
Yeah.
Because like last time there's a writer strike, they
They got The Apprentice.
and nothing bad ever came of that.
No, no. No nationwide horror ever came from that. Yeah. So it's kind of a bummer.
Yeah. But again, the
Yeah.
social contract, it's like I'm paying
Yeah.
you money for a streaming service, and then you just take off stuff that like I would expect you to keep. Like
Absolutely.
HBO, let's say like the John Wick movies come and go there. Like, okay, I expect that. Like you don't own John Wick, I don't think. Maybe.
But like if they took off like Succession.
Yeah. Then it would be like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones.
Like if you make original
Yeah.
content, I expect that to be on
I
your
expect that to
platform
stay.
forever.
Yeah.
And yeah, other like Netflix too, like other stuff will cycle in and out as you get
Yeah.
rights to it.
Right.
Sorry, it's now just Max. My bad.
Oh, I'm never gonna be able to call it that.
Is
I
it
say never.
just Max?
Just Max.
They're gonna switch it to Max. I've seen so many commercials for this.
They're really trying to sell it where it's like people
Yeah.
finally understand it's called HBO Max, and now you're
It took
Just
you long
Max.
enough to get people to understand your
Yeah.
old title.
It's
call
so
it
sad.
HBO.
Yeah, honestly.
HBO is a brand of
Alright.
quality.
Yeah.
They're like, nah, let's just call it Max.
And that's like the thing too, is like I feel like you need that name recognition of HBO. Like I don't recognize Max, I recognize HBO. Like that's been around.
You like if
Anyway.
Disney merges with Hulu and just calls it Plus.
Plus.
Don't give them ideas.
Yeah, honestly.
Write that down. Write that down.
They had a good idea. All right. Well, what rain on y'all's parades? Other than social contract theories being shunned.
I have a quick one. Because the only one I can think of, I was trying to think of before we started. Although I'm done with school, I'm not really done because I have to study for the bar exam, so I've been doing that. That first day was Monday.
Mhm.
Got there to the grind, watching these videos, learning all about contracts, getting to it, and then the system completely crashes.
Oh.
So that ended my studying for the day. It was funny though because I had gotten most of the things done. And I was like, I'm really not feeling it. I don't want to. It's my first day. I don't want to do a lot of work. And then I like start the videos for the next section of the contracts, and then it's like completely crashed. I'm like,
Mhm.
oh well, the universe is telling me to go play Mass Effect. So
A sunny thing in disguise.
yeah,
Oh man. I love that. Um, I'll do a sunny one in the fact that I have picked the next like platforms for art and everything.
Nice.
And so it's been a journey of like reading a lot of pros and con lists for a bunch of different websites. But I am now officially on three things. Fiverr for like commissioned digital art, um, Etsy for fiber art, and Threadless for just general digital art, where you can buy like um, just designs that I've made that aren't specific to people, kind of
and
thing.
if you're interested, that is with an X art. I assume on all platforms,
Yep.
all the ones you just mentioned.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so that's been nice. It feels like I'm less like in the lurch of like, God, I don't want to be on Redbubble because of like the incoming changes, but like I don't know where else to go. Threadless. For any other artists looking for good options, they're really nice. It's really good. Highly recommend. They do have a weird thing though with templates. So I need to either remake a bunch of the art that I had or um, upload some of my old art as just like stickers or magnets or like notebooks. And then as I create new art, I can like format that all in the correct way to also have it on like t shirts and stuff like that. But as of right now, it's just like um, stickers, magnets, notebooks, and zipper pouches, I think.
Nice.
Yeah. So check it out. It's a fun time. Oh man. How about you, Ryan?
I don't know. I can't think of this as like a rainy or something. I've just been doing a
Okay.
lot of like prepping to move. Boy, our
Yeah.
apartment's expensive.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah,
started looking at
yeah.
apartments too.
I was like, dang, that's a lot of money, but it'll be all right. I was also looking at because I'm also trying to like start paying off loans.
Yeah.
Student loans, fun. Boy, are
Woo.
they expensive.
Yeah.
Well, the payments are still paused until July, I want to say.
I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah. Thanks, Biden.
Thanks,
Fun
Supreme
you.
time.
Court, forgive them, please.
Yeah. They're supposed to come to a decision like within like the next 2 weeks.
Fingers crossed. Though I have
Who
low
knows?
hopes.
Yeah.
My ideal situation is they just dismiss the case, or like there's no standing, dismissed, and then the education department just like starts approving instantly and gets anything before another court can stop it.
Yeah. I don't know,
Or
man.
if they're gonna deny it, be like, you know what? We'll just keep it paused.
Right. That'd be nice
Forever.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
You never have
sort
any
of
interest payments in
canceled.
this.
That would be
Yeah.
lovely.
Oh man. Yeah, it would be a good second place. Recommendations. Watch Black Adam.
Okay, a real
I don't know
recommendation.
about that.
Watch Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Best Marvel movie in a long time.
Black Adam is also really good.
Some of it have
Shockingly.
good actors, but
Oh man. Alrighty. Well, um, you know, uh call people out for breaking the social contract theory, whether they're gaming companies or Taylor Swift herself. I'm sorry, Taylor Swift. Um, yeah, I don't know. Have a sunny Wednesday.